Advocate Maya Karora to kindly take over from here.
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to all of you. Without further ado, I'll start quickly since we are running a little short of time. So everyone, there is a very silent tragedy unfolding around all of us. Before our own eyes, a child loses a parent, and the legal system, the society, the schools, they watch and applaud the other parent. And this is not a gender sensitive issue. This is I'm talking about both the parents. We're talking about a very, very subtle and yet nuanced form of child abuse, for which we have a very august panel which is gathered today to discuss certain aspects of which we are not aware and possibly we would like to be aware. It's the only crime where there is no FIR, no proceeding. We heard so much about how the system sometimes acts against us. But this is the kind of crime where there is no FIR, there is no police action, there is no court action, and the victim itself doesn't know that he is a victim or she is a victim. In fact, there are two victims, the child and the alienated parent. And that's why the problem becomes more profound. So with that little introduction on this topic, I think we have an august panel today with whom I have very specific questions that I've put forth so that they're able to bring out a perspective for all of us on what this pandemic of child abuse is and how do we turn it around and save our children and save the nation and the future of our nation. So I'll start with you, Dr. Kapoor. Dr. Kapoor uses a very interesting term called parentectomy, which is basically the psychological amputation of one parent from the other parent. And sir, I want to know, what is this term parentectomy and who performs the surgery, sir?
Can you guys hear me here? Yeah? So, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you, Maya. Okay, so parentectomy is a word which was first coined in 1991. What this means is just the way if your appendix is inflamed or there is an infection, what is it that the doctors do? We do appendectomy. We remove the appendix, right? Similar is the process which I apologize to Justice Jadhav, but unfortunately this is being performed by our judiciary on a daily basis. On a daily basis, on a yearly basis in India, as per our survey, 1,35,000 children are being condemned to a handicapped life for the rest of their lives. And the blame for this, I apologize again, lies entirely with the judicial system. The state has no role to play with it. So this is a term that was first used in 1991 and was basically what we have found through our survey, that through 7 stages, the judiciary deliberately and surgically removes, in 90% of the cases it is the fathers, but in 10% of the cases it is also the mothers. So this is what I would like to call it the non-custodial parent, is deliberately and surgically removed from the child's life. This is a crime which is abetted by our own judicial system on a daily basis. Now, would you like me to go into the details right now, or would you like to?
So let's. So we can do it this way. You can probably introduce it a little bit more to the audience, and then I'll have the rest of the panelists follow.
So let me. There are 2 terms which I would like to introduce. One is when we use the word parental alienation. See, as a member of, there is a WHO Inspired Society which gives what is known as the Bible for medicine. the whole way that the medicine is performed. So there is one which is WHO and the other is the APA or the American Psychiatry Society. They each 7 to 8 years they keep revising and they publish what is known as the ICD or the International Classification of Diseases, and DSM, which is known as the Diagnostic or the Statistics Manual. Now, what we have found is for the first time in the last about 10 years, the word parental alienation, which we use so loosely, it is a clear-cut medical diagnosis of a child being psychologically abused and abused by a parent, which is why I'm so glad that this was the term which I had first coined in 2017 as an article, the silent epidemic, right? So 2017, and that is now being used. So today we have these 135 children which are being a victim of this. How does the judiciary do this? Let me do this in a very quick way and the 7 stages of how we have found. The first stage is inordinate delay in even passing interim orders. What we found in a survey, it takes close to approximately 14 months to even get an interim order. 14 महीने तक आप एक बच्चे को उसके माँ या बाप से दूर रख रहे हैं। मैं जानता हूं कि हम सब कहते हैं कि डिलेस तो होते ही हैं जुडिशरी के अंदर। जी हाँ होते हैं, लेकिन एक बच्चे के जिंदगी के अंदर उस डिले का महत्व मैं आपको सिर्फ एक चीज से बताता हूँ कि एक बच्चा जो 6 महीने अपने एक माँ या बाप से दूर है, वो जिंदगी में 20 साल आपने उसकी लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी कम कर दी है। उसको कैंसर जल्दी होगा, उसको कार्डियोवैस्कुलर डिजीजेस जल्दी होंगी, उसको एस्थमा जल्दी होगा। The suicide rates are close to approximately 7 times more. Drug addiction and alcohol rates are close to about 12 times more. दूसरी स्टेज आती है कि अगर हमारा आपने दे भी दिया कि चलो 14 महीने बाद आपका एक इंटरिम ऑर्डर आया, तो वो इंटरिम ऑर्डर में बाप को या माँ को जो नॉन कस्टोडियल पेरेंट है कितना मिलता है? कोई गेस कर सकता है? मैं आपको सिर्फ ये बताता हूँ, 14 घंटे महीने के अंदर इज द एवरेज। और आपको सिर्फ एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट के लिए कि एक जेल कॉन्विक्ट को भी विजिटेशन 14 घंटे से ज्यादा मिलती है, तो हम एक पेरेंट को एज अ जेल कॉन्विक्ट से भी बुरा ट्रीट करते हैं। क्या वो बच्चे के साथ अपने फोन पे बात कर सकता है? नहीं। क्या वो उसके स्कूल जा सकता है? नहीं। क्या वो बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट कर सकता है? नहीं। तो क्या आप बच्चे का बाप के या माँ के साथ उसका रिश्ता बना रहे हैं या फिर किसी एक अंकल के साथ? इसे हम कहते हैं इन कॉलोकियल टर्म सैंटा पेरेंटिंग, यानी कि जैसे सैंटा क्लॉज आता है ना साल में एक बारी और बच्चों को कोई गिफ्ट दे जाता है, ये इसी तरह हम एक माँ या बाप का हम वजूद बना दिया। स्टेज 3 उसके बाद आती है कि चलिए इतना ऑर्डर कम से कम 14 घंटे तो मिल पाएगा। हमने जो है लीगल एक्सपर्ट्स और लिटिगेंट्स, हमारा जो सर्वे था, वी हैड 500 पेरेंट्स एंड सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजेस, हाई कोर्ट जजेस, लॉयर्स, कम से कम 60 को इंटरव्यू किया। वो खुद कहते हैं कि 1/3 से ज्यादा ऑर्डर्स आर नेवर कंप्लाइड विद। और इस बेसिस पे कोर्ट्स करते क्या है, ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या करते हैं, अरे प्लीज मिलवा दीजिए ना बच्चे को, एहसान कर दीजिए कि एक बच्चे को मिलवा दें। You know, I see every day in the last, I have been involved in this field now for about 14 years, and I see every day in courts कि एक बाप अपने बच्चे से सिर्फ मिलने के लिए गिड़गिड़ा रहा होता है कोर्ट में। क्या हमारी ये सोसाइटी इस लेवल पे आ गई? इसके बाद क्या स्टेज होती है? हम जब देखते हैं कि कंटेम्प्ट हो भी गया है, कोर्ट्स कुछ नहीं करते हैं, उसके बाद कोर्ट्स क्या करते हैं कि वो रिपीट कंटेम्प्ट्स हुए जाते हैं एंड आर कोर्ट्स को डेट पे डेट, जैसे हमारा काफी एक फेमस डायलॉग है, तारीख पे तारीख मिलती जाती है। उसके बाद क्या होता है कि हम एक बच्चे को द 6th स्टेज जिसे मैं कहता हूं हम एक बच्चे को बुलवाते हैं कि भैया कोर्ट के अंदर आइए। मैडम रेखा जी, आप जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट के अंदर यू आर ऑब्वियसली द एक्सपर्ट इन दैट, राइट? जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट का सेक्शन 7(1) बहुत क्लियरली कहता है कि आप एक बच्चे को किसी भी हालत में ऐसे प्रीमाइसेस में भी नहीं बुला सकते कि जो कोर्ट जैसा भी हो। और हर रोज हमारे जजेस कोर्ट्स में बच्चों को बुला के दे, और हमारे सर्वे के अकॉर्डिंगली 37% इन बच्चों का इंटरव्यू होता है। 4 या 5 साल के बच्चे से आप क्या इंफॉर्मेशन निकालेंगे? 4-5 साल के बच्चे से आप ये पूछ रहे हैं कि अरे बेटा माँ के साथ रहना है कि बाप के साथ? आई कॉल इट, यू आर आस्किंग द चाइल्ड कि आपको अपना राइट हैंड चाहिए कि लेफ्ट हैंड चाहिए। मैं एक हाथ को छीन These are the kind of questions that our judges are asking our children in open court. मैं आपको एक चीज बताता हूं, as a psychiatrist, a person who is trained in child psychology and child psychiatry, उसको भी बच्चे के साथ बॉन्ड करके कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन निकालने में कम से कम 2 या 3 सेशंस लगते हैं 45-40 मिनट के। और हमारे जजेस सोचते हैं कि वो 10 मिनट के अंदर जो बच्चे के साथ बिताते हैं उनको सब पता चल जाएगा। भगवान,
I'll make a small intervention now. See, so while we constantly say that maybe somewhere it is the judiciary that is not being sensitized to the problem, but I recently heard from Mr. Mitro that the Honorable Calcutta High Court has come up with certain guidelines on how these cases should be handled. So this, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this came out somewhere in September. So, sir, would you want to apprise the audience of what are these guidelines? And more specifically, what led to passing of these guidelines? Was the issue so profound, or there was something else that led to passing of these guidelines? If you want to throw a little light, sir.
My sorry, what I do is Harshit obviously is a friend. I just want to end with one thing. What I want you to all leave behind is कि ये जो 7 stages होती हैं, इससे निकलता क्या है? हमारे देश के अंदर 4 out of 5, 80% of children who walk into the judiciary in divorce battles come out semi-orphaned. Our judiciary is semi-orphaning our children. Semi-orphaning का मतलब क्या है? क्योंकि you have just not lost one parent. You have lost grandparents. You have lost uncles, cousins, aunts. It takes a village to raise a child is what they say. और हम उसका आधा वजूद, half the roots, we are snatching away from the child. So that's what I wanted to end at. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Kapoor. Welcome everybody. I'm on this note taking a cue from what you asked, Aruna ji. Well, the Calcutta High Court has just come out with a comprehensive guidelines in September, and it's the first High Court in the country who has formed a comprehensive guidelines of its own and is making the rules under the High Court rules for this matter. Now, where was the necessity? We found the necessity out of our personal experiences in our life. I was also at one point of time an alienated father, and by God's grace I'm out of it right now. But I felt that we needed a platform where we could speak for the children, because children did not have a voice and does not have a voice in the country. So we spoke for them as a voice for the voiceless. We call ourselves as a voice for the voiceless. We are here to speak only for the children, and this is a subject which is, as you have rightly pointed out by the learned moderator, and it's also believed by all my co-panelists here, it does not concern any gender. All parents, both father and mother, can be alienated. Now, where was the need? Just as Dr. Kapoor has rightly said, this is a peculiar problem and a phenomenon which is uniformly spread across the length and breadth of the country. Everywhere the problem is the same, and everywhere children are getting orphaned. So this guideline has less stress on shared parenting, and therefore we felt the need to file a PIL in the Calcutta High Court with some of our fellow co-fighters also there, and we were fortunate enough to get this guideline in place. We are also doing this in the state of Karnataka, where the Karnataka High Court had suo motu filed a PIL where we are intervening into it, and we have been able to convince the government of India to form a committee to look into this, and they are, with our help, framing some guidelines which we hope can be centrally placed across the country in due course of time. Now, what are the factors, as you said, which can address this problem? Is one, as Dr. Kapoor had said, the non-compliance of orders. So we have specifically in the guidelines mentioned what you should do when the orders are being flouted by the concerned person. One is you impose some fines which are restrictive amount. You just can't impose a fine of 500 or 1,000 rupees. The person who is not complying with the order will continue happily doing that. So the amount must be something which is restrictive in nature, in the sense it should be some thousands of rupees to be placed, number one. Number two, you have to grant compensatory access for all the visitations, access orders and overnight custodies that are being flouted. In extreme cases, where you find that even then the problem subsists, you go for change in custody. The change in custody, we have precedents from the Supreme Court in few cases, and it is our hope that if the guidelines are effectively employed, then the trial courts will get the teeth to do this, because the justice is actually starts and ends in the trial courts. The higher courts, you won't get much relief unless the trial courts give you a proper adjudication of the matter. So as you said, this can lead to a minimization of parental alienation. Also there are phenomena which is called reversal of parental alienation, which really happens in some cases, definitely. And with time, just as you say that the sun rises after the darkness in the night, you can always see the hope at the end of the tunnel. So I come here to speak not only to just tell you all the pessimisms of parental alienation that all my co-speakers will be telling. I am here to speak that there is a hope, and my life itself is an example of a hope. Maybe I am one out of 1,000, but definitely there is hope into it.
Thank you very much. The fact that the chances of recovery are 1 in 1,000 itself speaks a lot about the problem. And as much as we want to talk about stakeholders, judges, lawyers, the system, I think there is a lot of responsibility that parents themselves will have to take. Well, I don't think there is any lack of love between both the parents and the child. But still, there is a tendency to weaponize. And the alienation, they say, is the unwanted child of this intent to weaponize a child against the other parent, because one wants to vent out the feelings that they could not otherwise through that child. And on this note, Rekha, I would want to ask you a few questions, because you've been very closely working with children on this. And most of the time you see that there is a intent to misuse the process or the child itself in the background. Would you want to throw a little light on how we ourselves as parents are not taking accountability on this?
नमस्कार सभी को। I'm sorry for the back throat, but इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में आना ही था क्योंकि बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक पे डिस्कशन है, और सिंस ये जो टॉपिक है पेरेंटल एलिनेशन का, ये चाइल्ड वेलफेयर कमेटी मेंबर से बेहतर कौन शायद समझा पाएगा, क्योंकि हम चाइल्ड वेलफेयर कमेटी में बहुत ज़्यादा इसका एक विकृत डेंजरस रूप देख रहे हैं, जहां एक पेरेंट पर या फैमिली के एक मेंबर पर पॉक्सो का केस रजिस्टर हो रहा है। ये पेरेंटल एलिनेशन का एक सबसे खराब, जो हम कहेंगे कि लॉ का मिसयूज यहाँ हो रहा है। हम अभी तक बात कर रहे हैं बच्चे की साइकोलॉजी का, एक पेरेंट को बच्चे से अलग करने का। क्या कभी हम सोच सकते हैं कि इस सफर में माँ बच्चे को हथियार बनाकर, जैसे आपने बताया, वेपन बनाकर और पॉक्सो का केस रजिस्टर करके हमारे सामने आकर बैठ रहे हैं। मैं सिर्फ यहाँ इतना कह सकती हूँ कि जो केसेस हमारे पास आ रहे हैं, हम उसको बहुत गहराई से देखते हैं, ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, बच्चों से बात करते हैं। इवन कई स्टेटमेंट्स जो 164 की होके आती हैं 183 BNSS के अंडर में, हम लोगों ने स्टेटमेंट चेंज होते देखी हैं और हम चाइल्ड वेलफेयर कमेटी सेंसिटिवली उसको सारा नोट करके और वापस से रीस्टेटमेंट के लिए भेजते हैं, क्योंकि ये एक जगह है जो कहते तो बच्चों की कोर्ट है, लेकिन वो आम कोर्ट से अलग है। हम लोग यहाँ जुडिशरी की बात कर रहे हैं और थोड़ा बहुत उनके अगेंस्ट भी बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन हम एक फर्स्ट स्टेप हैं जहाँ पर हम थोड़ा सा भी चेंज या थोड़ा सा भी ऑब्जर्वेशन के बाद वो एक हथियार जो बच्चे को बना रहे हैं, बच्चे का वेलफेयर, आप मानसिक स्थिति समझ सकते हैं उस बच्चे की। 10 साल का बच्चा, एक विजिटेशन राइट मिला है, कोर्ट में माँ लेकर आई है, 2 बच्चे हैं, बच्ची 10 साल की है, बच्चा 5 साल का है, और इमीडिएटली विजिटेशन के बाद माँ ने शोर मचा दिया कि इसके फादर ने मेरी बेटी को खराब तरीके से छुआ है, और केस रजिस्टर होने के लिए पुलिस स्टेशन पहुंच गई। 3 दिन बाद मेरे पास में वो फादर का फोन आता है हेल्प के लिए। बाई चांस मैंने पूछा FIR हो गई? उन्होंने कहा नहीं, FIR नहीं हुई है। मैंने कहा बहुत पॉजिटिव है। क्यों पॉजिटिव है? 3 दिन तक पॉक्सो का केस आपने, एक आईओ ने FIR नहीं की है, इसका मतलब उसको कुछ दाल में काला लगा। अब हमें ऐसे ही फर्स्ट स्टेप पर, जो सुबह से मैं सुन रही हूँ इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी जो खराब कर देते हैं केस, यही एक फर्स्ट स्टेप है जहाँ पर हम थोड़ा बहुत रोकथाम कर सकते हैं। और वहाँ पर एक ऑब्जर्वर भी बैठा है, 4 फैमिलीज भी विजिटेशन में आई हुई है एक रूम में, और वहाँ माँ इल्ज़ाम लगा रही है कि बाप ने बच्ची के प्राइवेट पार्ट्स को छुआ। इज दैट पॉसिबल? यही चीज़ आईओ ने भी बोली कि मैम अब हम ऑब्जर्वर का भी स्टेटमेंट ले रहे हैं, बाकी लोगों का भी स्टेटमेंट ले रहे हैं, अभी हम FIR नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो ये एक उस फादर के लिए बहुत सुकून का एक समय था। बाई चांस FIR हो जाती, फादर गिरफ्तार होता, और जुडिशरी में तो हमें पता है टाइम लगता उसको बेल मिलने में, क्योंकि एक केस में हाई कोर्ट में मैं खुद मौजूद थी जहाँ पर बच्ची प्रेग्नेंट थी और लड़के को बेल नहीं मिल रही थी। बच्ची के लिए मैंने जज साहब से कहा कि सर, शी इज 8 months प्रेग्नेंट, इसको यहाँ कोर्ट पे ना बुलाया जाए। बिलीव मी, जज का आंसर था कि मैडम ये हमने नहीं बुलाया है, ये लड़के को देखने आई है। इसका मतलब जज को भी पता था कि लड़की उस लड़के के फेवर में है, लेकिन पिछले 4 महीनों से उसको बेल नहीं मिल रही थी। तो आप और हम अगर बात कर रहे हैं तो पेरेंटल एलियनेशन का जो दौर शुरू हुआ है, ये शायद केस या विजिटेशन राइट से नहीं, बहुत पहले से रेड फ्लैग्स चल रहे हैं। बहुत पहले से माँ बच्चे को समझा रही है, जब दोनों साथ में एक छत के नीचे रह रहे हैं, तब के रेड फ्लैग्स हमें समझने होंगे। एज अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट मैं आपको बोल रही हूँ, साइकियाट्रिस्ट, आप लोग प्लीज वर्क ऑन दैट। बच्चे का वेलफेयर सिर्फ बच्चे का को सही जगह पर भेजना या सही लोगों से मिलना नहीं होता है, दोनों पेरेंट्स का होना भी जरूरी है। हम डिसबैलेंस बना रहे हैं सोसाइटी में। इस तरीके के अगर बच्चे को हम उनके वेलबींग से, उनके मेंटल हेल्थ से खेल रहे हैं, तो हम सोसाइटी, फैमिली डिसबैलेंस, सोसाइटी डिसबैलेंस। सो यहाँ पर बहुत कुछ काम करने की जरूरत है, इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसीज को भी और जुडिशियल लेवल पे भी। थैंक यू।
Thank you very much, Ekam.
इस समय हम ना बच्चे की बहुत बात करते हैं ड्यूरिंग पेरेंटल एलिनेशन प्रोसेस, बट हम एक चीज भूल जाते हैं कि इसमें एक और दूसरा को विक्टिम भी होता है, द एलिनेटेड पेरेंट, जिसकी सारी सोशल लाइफ, his entire life in a way revolves around the child. He builds a social circle around the child. So on this note, Zian, I would want to invite you to tell us that when alienation happens, what does it do to a parent's identity and sense of self, and what that parent goes through? Just have our audience understand this as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, with response to Mayank's question, what happens to a parent? The parent actually becomes a lot demoralized. The parent loses confidence in himself or herself. The parent also goes ahead and sometimes has suicidal tendencies. They try to rely on the system, that they'll go ahead and get justice. Unfortunately, what they get is dates. There are orders that are being passed, which again are not being complied with. You keep on getting dates. The parent is then ping-ponged either into a counseling session with the marriage counselor or with a child counselor, who in fact are not trained in parental alienation. When the parent sits in front of a child counselor, the other parent, the alienating parent, doesn't get the child for counseling. It creates frustration. The alienating parent is traveling sometimes from across different states just to merely see the child. So the child is probably at a distance of 5 walking feet. The child shies away from looking at the parent, is afraid, is anxious. So the alienating parent is again distraught. What do I do? I mean, I've seen countless examples of parents out there in the child court complex fighting with the associates who are handling this situation. The children's complex is a total chaos. Close to around 300 square feet of a room. You have close to around 15 to 20 odd children, their parents. I mean, how do you go ahead and create a bond with your child when the child is not even brought into the complex? More often than not, there is parental gatekeeping that happens. So the child sits along with the alienating parent outside the court complex. It's a mere filling of the form that the visitation hours are being followed, but has the child met the parent? Have they gone ahead and had some kind of communication, be it verbal, non-verbal? Doesn't happen. And at the end of it, again, as I said, the child as such, like Dr. Kapoor said, is going through a lot of trauma of his or her own, wherein the child is forcefully brought into the children's complex, probably by coming across some or the other story, wherein the child wants to hurriedly go home. Some of the examples that I have come across is, the child is unwell today, so I have not brought the child to the visitation hours. The child has an exam coming up, so I cannot bring the child. So these are lame reasons. And again, as and when parents keep on filing execution, non-compliance, contempt, everything is being, kept aside. The other cases take precedence. So, what do parents do?
No. So, in the interest of time, I'm constantly being told that we are running really, really short of time. So, on a concluding note, just one line on how can we restore it from all of you. That how can this parental alienation be restored back? Starting from Dr. Kapoor, just one line each, and I think that's how we'll conclude it. On how do we reverse this process of parental alienation? What's the way forward?
So your question has two parts. One is how do we prevent it? Second is how do we reverse it?
Yes, go.
Would I be correct?
Yes.
So
Very briefly, all of you together.
prevention, the answer is very simple. Number one, shared parenting has rebuttable presumption of shared parenting has to be the law. 25 countries across the world have already made it by law. The research is already there. That's one. Second prevention you have to do, you have to have a very clear-cut protocol for managing parental alienation. इसके लिए आप ब्राज़ील चले जाइए, डेनमार्क, मेक्सिको, रोमानिया, कहीं भी चले जाइए, पूरे उन्होंने क्लियर कट स्टेप 1, स्टेप 2, स्टेप 3, स्टेप 6 तक दिया हुआ कि आपको इस तरह करना है. ये साइंस है, ये कोई ओपिनियंस नहीं है, बहुत क्लियरली दिया गया. और अगर आपको रिवर्स करना है पेरेंटल एलियनेशन, उसका भी बहुत क्लियर कट है. देयर आर 3 सेक्शंस: माइल्ड, मॉडरेट, सिवियर. सिवियर के अंदर शिफ्ट ऑफ कस्टडी along with psychiatric evaluation of the alienating parent. ठीक है. Moderate के अंदर you have to typically increase the parenting time and put both the parents under counseling. Mild के अंदर you have to do couple of things which will take me time to explain.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Mitro, quickly.
I think one of the major critical factors will be the role that the alienating parent will play here. To reverse your alienation, you need the support of the other parent who is not actually cooperating. So that is important. And as Dr. Kapoor said, of course, shared parenting, all the G7 countries have already adopted it. It's very strange that the government of India has kept the law commission report pending since 2015. There's no discussion on the parliament. We have written several letters and reminders to them. They have not responded to a single line. So I think the government has to come up proactively here, because they must realize that the child does not belong to you or me. It belongs to the nation. If you are destroying a child, you are destroying your human capital of the country. So that has to be put in place.
सर, आप लोगों ने एकदम जो बोला है एकदम आई ऑल्सो अग्री, पर यहाँ पर ब्लैंकेट डिसीजन या ब्लैंकेट लॉ हम शेयर पेरेंटिंग का नहीं बना सकते, डिपेंडिंग ऑन केस टू केस बेसिस. बहुत सारे केसेस आए हैं जहाँ पर फादर या मदर क्रूअल भी हैं, सो वी कैन नॉट गो फॉर दैट. फॉर मी रिवर्सल हो या दूसरा पॉइंट, हमारे लिए अवेयरनेस एंड काउंसलिंग इज द की. अगर हम बच्चों को हर स्कूल में पॉक्सो की ट्रेनिंग कंपलसरी कर रहे हैं, तो हम इस चीज़ की भी अवेयरनेस हमें बच्चों को शुरू से देनी पड़ेगी. दे शुड नो क्या गलत है क्या सही है. बच्चा इनोसेंट है, आप उसके अंदर जहर भर रहे हो, ये उसको पता ही नहीं है. सो लेट अस अवेयर अवर किड्स फ्रॉम द स्कूल लेवल. जैसे कि बाकी लॉ पॉक्सो हम बता रहे हैं, इसमें भी हमें एक सेशन जरूर रखना चाहिए.
एक चीज़ जस्ट मैं अपना जब जिंदगी में करियर शुरू किया एज अ डॉक्टर, तो तिहाड़ जेल के अंदर मैं एज अ डॉक्टर था करीबन 2-2.5 महीने का बीच में. वहाँ पे मैंने और कुछ नहीं सीखा, मैंने सिर्फ ये सीखा है कि एक बीड़ी के लिए आप एक क्रिमिनल से भी कुछ भी करवा सकते हैं, ये आप भी जानते हैं. और हम चाह रहे हैं कि हम बच्चे को पढ़ा लिखा के उसको उसके माँ बाप से अगेंस्ट ना करवा पाके कोशिश कर सकें. नहीं हो सकता है. इट्स जस्ट नॉट पॉसिबल. प्रॉपर क्रिमिनल्स एक बीड़ी के लिए वी एज ह्यूमंस ओनली लुक एट सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट.
So final words, Jan, before I have to formally call this.
So one way is, again, like Dr. Kapoor said, that the alienating parent has to stop the alienating behaviors which actually go ahead and increase the process of alienation. The appeal to judiciary is also to ensure that do not mix two ideals of child support and visitation together. Do not club them together. Okay? I would like to end with the line that the best child support is equal parenting.
Excellent. Thank you, Jan. Say the last words.
I'm addressing this to you, ma'am. When we want a law, that has to be the basis of the forming the law is so that it can be applied to people who deserve it. So obviously the judiciary will say to people who don't deserve, they will not get shared parenting. But at least give the teeth to the judiciary to pass laws on shared parenting by default to people who are innocent and who generally love the children.
Thank you. Thank you so much. With that we conclude. Thank you Ekam Nyaay, Deepika and the entire team for having this august panel. It was truly an honor and thank you for being such a lovely
I
audience.
would request
Thank you.
Satya Prakash Rai sir to kindly join us on stage to felicitate our esteemed panelists.